May Wild West here, and guess what I did? Well, this week I had to buy a larger portable hard drive to hold all of my homemade porn because, well, we needed more space. I'm hoping a terabyte should work for a while, right? I don't really know how big those things are.
It's time again for the May Wild West Show, the podcast where we tell the hedonistic adventures of myself and my husband in the modern American Wild West. The hubby, Mr. West, and I swing, sometimes hot wife, but mostly just enjoy spending time with our friends and having kinky sex. Our motto is, we'll try anything once for science. If you're looking for completely inappropriate stories and adult content, you've come to the right place, because this podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only and shouldn't be considered professional, medical, or sometimes good advice. The topics we talk about will be spicy, sexy, and not safe for work, kids, or your local PTA Karen. Now let's full send into today's episode.
Hey everybody, I am excited about today's show and a little bit nervous, like in the pit of my stomach. I'm gonna share something that, I get so nervous about sharing things that I create, so that's coming up a little later in the show. But first, I thought I would let everybody know a little bit about what's been going on in my life. So, here is what's up, Buttercup.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Mr. West has been out of town for work, so he's not here with us tonight. And I don't know about anybody else, but when your husband is out of town, your toys get charged a lot. But maybe that's just me. I miss him a whole lot, so I will be glad when he is not working out of town quite so many long hours. And so will my electric bill. Finally got my pea gravel and was able to finish fixing my patio, put the pavers down and everything, but I had to do it by myself, which had everybody pretty concerned because I have absolutely no tool skills whatsoever. I have skills with certain tools.
That was a big wiener.
But no tool skills whatsoever. So luckily for me, it worked out really well. I have gotten a lot of feedback from some listeners that they enjoyed the episodes where I have read some erotica, and one of them I was talking to a little bit, and he said how much he would enjoy it and he would pay to listen to me read erotica. Growing up, it had been my dream to be a writer. I mean, then when I got older, I wanted to be Carrie Bradshaw with Sex and the City. Unfortunately, I will never be Carrie Bradshaw because there is no way I will ever be able to walk in a pair of heels like she can. No Louis Vuittons for me, but on the other hand, I do have a thing for designer purses, just, in case anybody's thinking about a gift idea for me for next year for my birthday. Now, the stories that I decided to write may or may not be true, but all the names have been changed to protect the innocent. A lot of them are based in truth with some extra added excitement and details. The largest struggles that I've had was finding names for guys, characters that aren't guys' names that people I've already fucked, so they didn't think I was talking about them. And the other really hard part is coming up with other synonyms for the words dick, cock, pussy. I mean, good God. There's only so many times you can call it his throbbing member or his unit or before you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake. So, if anybody's got any clever names for dicks or has any suggestions for guys' names, send them to me on one of my social media and I will get back to you. The other one is if anybody is a editor who's got some free time, who wants to read some poorly written erotica and give me some suggestions, I would love to hear from you because, well, I think my friends are going to get tired of reading my stories and everybody can get better. And I mean, if you guys have some suggestions after you hear the one I'm going to read today, then email me with your suggestions. I'd love it. Or hit me up on social media. Make sure you put something in there about, hey, I heard your story. I was thinking, not just, hey, and expect me to get back to you guys. I I get a lot of hey messages and I don't respond to them. I like it when people either have read my profile and they do what they're told in the profile to do to get my attention, or they come up with something clever on their own. One of the two. But if you have any suggestions, please send me a message on my social media. So everybody has heard of Charles Dickens, or at minimum you've heard of Scrooge, you've heard of possibly Great Expectations. But what you might not know is that originally all of his stories were published as serials. Now, I don't mean a series, it's called a serial. And each section of it, or chapter, was published in a newspaper or a flyer, and then the next week another episode would be published. So he actually was writing it as it was being published, and the people who loved his stories, loved them to death, gave feedback. In fact, there was one, and I think it was in Nicholas Nickleby. The one character appeared to have died at the end of the chapter, the episode, and the people lost their shit. And so he actually had to change the story so that she didn't actually die, because people just couldn't deal in the Victorian period with this character dying. They loved her so much. Which really isn't that much different from today and sitcoms and dramas that are weekly shows on TV. People get pretty caught up in the characters, and back then, we didn't have TV, so the Victorians made do with Charles Dickens and his stories. So I got my idea for how I'm going to do my stories from this idea that Charles Dickens had. And what I am doing is my stories all have the same characters, and the characters are Mae West and Mr. West, and then a host of made-up fictional people that we interact with.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
And the idea right now is that there will be these stories that are broken up into 2 or 3 chapters or episodes, and then all of the different chapters are just short stories about Mae Wild West. So, we'll see how you guys like it. Today you get the first episode in the adventures of Mae Wild West. The title is still a work in progress, and the title of the episode, I couldn't come up with anything, so the best I have is Truck Repair or Gangbang. Please help me with the title. So, without any further ado, here we go.
Okay, so this is called Truck Repairs or Gangbang, and this is the first story. Per usual, my hubby, Mr. West, had not informed me that his buddies would be coming over to work on a couple of trucks in the shop until that afternoon. And wouldn't you know it, we were out of beer and would need to stock up on junk food. I jumped in my car and ran in town 15 miles away to the local grocery and liquor store to stock up for the guys tonight. When I got home, I parked my car by the shop because I figured there was no sense in packing the beer across the yard from the house where I usually parked. I picked up the cases of beer and planning to carry them in my arms and hanging bags of potato chips from my thumbs because I wasn't going to make a second trip for fuck's sake. I was maxing out the strength in my 5'5", 170-pound curvy 40-year-old body. When I got to the door, I heard the music blaring in the shop as the guys were already hard at work, and I realized my fatal mistake. How was I going to turn the fucking doorknob? And the way everything was precariously perched to my arms, I was going to drop the beer and then end up chasing loose cans across the parking area and under everyone's pickup. Fuck my life. As I stood there trying to kick the door loud enough for one of them to come open it for me, I felt strong arms on either side of me from behind trapping me against the door. Ah! I squealed and almost dropped everything, but luckily the arms belonged to Mr. West and he was more agile than me. He at least caught the beer before my prophecy came true. However, I wasn't any less trapped. Now I was smashed between the door and the beer in front of me, and a very hard rod poking me in the butt cheek, and arms circling on either side of me. I squealed again as he ground his erection against my ass and up and down my ass crack. Let me go! I'm squished and you need those semis fixed, I admonished, but instead of stopping, Mr. West started kissing up my neck and whispered, I can't help myself when you look this good, Mae. Those pants look like they were painted on where they don't have holes, and your shirt is so thin I can almost read through it. I bet you had all the guys at the grocery store walking around hard and dripping. As he let go of me, I turned around and he stared hard at my breasts with the black lacy bra fairly visible through the fabric. I hadn't realized the shirt was so thin when I went out to the store. I'd been cleaning all day and had just put on an old pair of worn-out jeans and a worn-out white t-shirt so I wouldn't ruin nice clothes this morning when I'd gotten dressed. I better go change before I see anyone else or the whole town will be gossiping about the whore up the canyon, I only half joked. Small towns, I said, shaking my head. No, leave it on. You look amazing, and I'd love to watch you make the guys crazy. You know how much I love it when guys want to fuck my wife. Mr. West and I had a secret that only a few of his friends knew. We were swingers, and while we enjoyed swapping with other couples, we had the most fun having threesomes or moresomes with single guys. Matt knew because we had a foursome with him and one of his 5-minute girlfriends a few months ago. Matt wasn't going to slow down long enough for a long-term relationship, so he bounced from girl to girl, and after sampling his skills and his tool, I knew why girls kept coming around. It was about the same size as Mr. West, but not quite as thick, but damn was he good with it. His other buddies, Shane and Sam, had an idea of what we got up to when we left town to go party, but no one had yet confirmed their suspicions. I had always thought they were both fairly good-looking, but Matt was the dreamboat of the crew with his blue eyes, dark hair, and smart-ass mouth. Shane was the shortest and Irish, so of course his hair was red. Sam was by far the largest of the group in height and shoulder width, but also the quietest. I looked at Mr. West for a second before asking him, "Are you sure? There's no one ringing this bell." My husband knew one of my biggest fantasies was to have a gangbang with his buddies, not because I had a thing for them, but because I read too much mommy porn. But then it dawned on me. You rigged this to make my fantasy come true, didn't you? Did you tell all the guys? Not sure whether I was scared or excited, but definitely a little wet thinking about the plot porn I'd watched and the trashy stories I'd read about wives getting gangbanged by their husbands' friends, their stepsons' over 18 friends, the construction crew working on her house. You know the stories. No, I didn't say a thing to anyone, but be as flirty as you want. I'll mention something to Matt, but I want to watch Shane and Sam squirm a little so you can be my naughty little girl. Mr. West chuckled, and I got out of the way so he could carry the beer up into the shop. I followed with the chips, dip, and other guy food. I told him to set the cases next to the fridge, and I'd put them away in a minute. I noticed Matt's appraising glance taking in my outfit, and I assumed approving of the way my pants cuffed my ass like a second skin and sheer t-shirt, because he grinned and then turned to adjust his pants. I was too busy quietly giggling at his problem to notice Shane and Sam's responses, but Mr. West assured me later that they had had to make adjustments to their jeans as well. He went over to Matt and quietly gave him the scoop on the impromptu gangbang idea and to get his take on whether Shane and Sam would be down, which he was sure they would be. I knew immediately what they were talking about because Matt stared at me with a look like he was going to eat me for dinner, and I sure hoped that was the plan. Meanwhile, I was bent over at the waist, taking much longer than it should to put the beer in the fridge, making sure to shake my ass a little to the beat of the music. Mr. West wanted naughty? Then I'd be naughty, I thought. I was getting ready to stand up when I received a world-class slap on the ass that reverberated through the large shop. I turned around to threaten Mr. West with dismemberment at least when I realized it had been Matt instead. Luckily, it was one of those moments where something clever actually came to me instead of in the shower 5 hours later. "Damn, you're good at that, but I'm not surprised as good as you are at all the other stuff," I said, my words thick with innuendo, and seemed to surprise Shane and Sam. "Don't believe everything you hear about Matt. He pays girls to say nice things about his dick so the truth doesn't get out," Shane laughed, and all the other guys laughed too, but I made for the door and tossed over my shoulder for everyone to hear. "Oh, I know for sure. Had to try it out for science, you know, but I could use a refresher," and stepped out the door to move my car, get my nerves under control, and add a few surprises to my outfit.
Okay, we're halfway through it. Make sure you got your lube out because the rest of the story is way spicy.
When everyone noticed me step back into the shop a little later, they all quit working on whatever they'd been doing and stared for a moment before each of them seemed to migrate over to where I was getting chips and crap out of the bags and setting it out on top of the workbench for when they got hungry. My plan was they'd need those snacks a little later to refuel before fucking me some more. I walked the few feet over and bent over in the fridge to get them each a new beer, showing my ass off one more time. I pressed the cold beers against the front of my shirt as I carried them to the guys, with the and the condensation made the sheer shirt translucent, which showed clearly that I was no longer wearing a bra as my nipples tinted the damp fabric from the cold beers. That was surprise number 1. When I walked up to Sam and Shane to hand them their bottles, I asked them if they liked something they saw, but both just stammered a little, not sure how to respond to the come-on from their buddy's wife. As I waited for their response, I rubbed the cold bottles left in my hands on my nipples, and they stood out even more if that was possible. I made my way over to Matt and asked the same question. He reached up to palm my breast through the damp shirt and then sharply pinched my nipple, making it even harder. Then he gave the other one the same treatment as I sighed softly. I walked over to my husband, his beer still in my hand, and asked him, "Of course I do, May, lots, but I think you should give Sam and Shane another chance to look over the merchandise and see if there isn't something they're interested in." As I turned back towards them, Mr. Wet patted me on the ass as if to say good girl, when he found surprise number 2. I was wearing my favorite butt plug. I smiled at him slyly as I saw it dawn on him what he was feeling. "You're being such a naughty slut tonight, huh?" he asked as he patted my ass, thumping the T-handle of the plug each time and sending a shiver through my whole body and another wave of wetness to my panties that matched the bra. Surprise number 3, no panties under my pants. As wet as I was getting, I was pretty sure I was going to leave a spot on my jeans. I turned on my heel and peeled my shirt off as I crossed the distance to them. "How about now, boys?" They looked up at Mr. West, silently asking for permission, and he nodded to them. Sam, the tallest and broadest of the 4 men, put his hands around the back of my neck and pulled me to him. He slid his hands down to cup and squeeze my ass cheeks, kneading them through my pants before reaching to undo the button. As he did, Shane and Matt came up on either side of me, grabbing a breast before helping to pull my damp pants down my legs and over my shoes. I was okay with being naked in the shop, but I wasn't going to run around without shoes. It was just a garage, after all. Once I was naked, I turned and looked at the 3 men and ordered them to sit on the couch that was against the one wall by the fridge. The men stared at me as if they couldn't believe their luck, and honestly, it was about to become even luckier. Since I was naked, they did exactly as I told them. I knelt in front of Shane as he was the furthest to the left and started to unbutton his pants and pull out his cock. I was pleasantly surprised to see it was almost as big as Matt and Mr. West's, and that he kept his ginger hair manscaped and neatly trimmed. He quickly pulled his pants down and out of the way for what would be the best blowjob any of them had ever had up to that point. So I'm bragging, but for real, I'm a champion cocksucker. I have references. I swirled my tongue around the head and then slowly lowered my head down to his tool, slobbering all over it. I can't deep throat, but I gag and drool a lot, which is almost as good. I used my hand to stroke the part of the shaft that I couldn't get my mouth for a few minutes before moving on to the next guy, Matt, and giving him the same treatment. Then it was time to unwrap my 3rd present, and Sam didn't disappoint. You know when super tall guys have dicks that aren't proportional? Sam was not that kind, and it fit his 6'4" linebacker frame. I could only get about 2/3 of his dick in my mouth, so I had to use a lot of spit and hand motions. As I was bent over trying to suck his soul out of his cock, I felt fingers probing my pussy, spreading the wet folds to find the clit, so Matt could flick it with his tongue and then suck on it in a way that makes my voice raise at least 2 octaves. I reached over with my other hand and stroked Shane's unit as I went to town on Sam's with the right hand in my mouth, then switched my mouth back and forth between the two, sucking and stroking when I wasn't orgasming too hard from the tongue lashing that Matt was giving me. Then, all of a sudden, I felt his hard length slide into my soaking wet pussy, and I was pushed forward hard onto Shane's cock, almost burying the whole thing in my mouth. Shane fucked forward into my mouth as Matt pulled out, and they started a seesawing motion, each fucking me from either end. Since Matt had decided to leave the butt plug in my ass, I started orgasming from the 5th stroke, and it didn't seem to be slowing down. Not to be left out, Sam wrapped my hand around his cock and helped me jack him off as I was not able to control my body as the orgasms rolled over me one after the other. The guys rotated, then it was Sam who was fucking me, Shane getting jacked off, and Matt fucking my face. When they went to rotate again, I looked over my shoulder to ask Shane, "Would you like to fuck my ass?" And his face lit up like a kid at Christmas. Mr. West handed him some coconut oil that he keeps in his toolbox for just such an occasion when we can't keep our hands off each other. Mr. West gently pulled the plug from my ass as Shane slathered the oil on his dick. Then he eased it into my ass 2 or 3 times before getting into a rhythm. I had prepped earlier when I was in the house before I put the butt plug in, so it felt amazing. But also, I just love anal sex. It wasn't long before I was no longer capable of sucking dick, jacking off cocks, or coherent thoughts because the orgasms had taken over my brain. The hubby suggested that we do DP, and Matt sat back on the couch and I climbed aboard his amazing dick and leaned forward just as Sam started to attempt to push his rather large but well-lubricated dick into my ass. Mr. West pushed the bottle of poppers under my nose and I took a big whiff. As they relaxed my body, Sam penetrated my ass with his thick member, which Matt took as his cue to thrust up into my pussy, and Sam pulled back partways out of my ass. As soon as they got into the rhythm, Shane brought his cock to my lips and pushed forward gently, fucking my mouth in between the moans and squeals of my orgasms. For the next rotation, Mr. West subbed in for one of the guys, but I don't know which one. I was so over the moon and on another planet from the sensations I was getting, I wasn't sure who was where and whose dick was doing what. I was just a quivering bundle of raw nerve endings, stuck in an orgasm time loop. Also, I'm not ashamed to say that I may have been drooling at one point and definitely soaked in my own cum. It was then, when I was pretty sure I was going to have to call Uncle before my brain was perma-fried, that all 4 men circled me, jerking their cocks to come all over me. I love watching a man stroke his erection, his arm muscles flexing and straining, especially the biceps and the forearms. I could watch men pick up heavy shit all day and possibly get off. I think it's a kink. What can I say? Then one after another, like it was a planned porno, they came on my face and chest, dousing me in the creamy fluid. That part was Mr. West's kink, and I loved how sexy he thought it was when I was covered in cum like some trashy whore. Somebody is going to have to bring me a washcloth so I can see again, and it better not be a greasy shop towel, I mumbled as I started coming back to earth. And some snacks before round 2 would be fantastic.
So today on the show, I wanted to talk a little bit about porn because writing the erotica made me think a lot about porn and how much porn is different from when I first saw it. And I thought the funny thing is that the first porn I ever saw was a Playboy magazine when I was 16, and I was working at a grocery store as a bag girl, and the older checker was like, "You've never actually looked at a Playboy or anything?" And I was like, "No." And so we got one and went through it and looked at it, and I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't appropriate for somebody her age, but I don't think it was probably meant to be creepy. The one thing I learned from Playboy is the same thing that I learned watching Coyote Ugly, and that is they have cute as fuck shoes. I love stripper shoes too. I would kill if I could find somebody who can teach me how to walk in stripper heels, because I just think that would be the greatest thing that could ever happen in my life. I even tried to hire an ex-stripper to teach me how to walk in heels, and she didn't have time. And then my next experience with porn was when I was in college, because back then there was the Blockbusters, and Blockbusters had a back room where you could go and pick out a porn DVD or a porn VHS. And so as freshmen, we got this bright idea, my roommate and I did, that we would host porn nights, and we invited everybody. We probably had 10, 12 people at least in this dorm room, and we would pick a porn and watch it and make fun of it. And the one that sticks out in my head forever is Alice in Pornoland. Alice in Pornoland. And actually, I will put the link to it on the show notes because it's hysterical. It is worth watching just for entertainment value. The rabbit keeps popping in, he makes this boing, and he's got an erection. I mean, it's really funny. You should watch it. I'm not saying you're gonna get off. I don't think I've ever gotten off to Alice in Pornoland, but it does amuse me. I think it's where I got my start with my love of plot porn, which dude, it's cheesy, I get it. Sometimes I just watch it for entertainment because, god damn it, it's funny. The other one, sometimes I watch the cartoon porn just for entertainment. There's some ones that are pretty funny, like Gravity Falls parodies, kind of entertain me usually. So anyway, I like to watch porn just for entertainment, not necessarily always just to get off. But my big, I guess, first experience with porn and using it to like get turned on or even to masturbate would have been back when I was in my early 20s and I found erotica. Well, first of all, I was reading dirty books, like the really bad, trashy books. And then, because I was going through them so fast, because I could read so fast, and I was living in the middle of bumfuck Egypt, we had 3 TV channels. One of them was Canadian. I did develop a love of curling, but I had a lot of time on my hands, because I lived in the middle of nowhere. And I found literotica on the internet, and it was just piles and piles of the best part of the stories. It wasn't like pages and pages of them like getting to know each other and falling in love. Now don't get me wrong, I still love a good dirty novel, especially ones about like werewolves or bikers. I got a thing for bad boys. Nowadays you can get them for free all the time on a Kindle. I have pages and pages and novels and piles of books, thousands of books that are just dirty book novels. Most of them have to do with supernatural things, but it's free and it's easy now. Back then, I was buying them one at a time, used for like 50 cents and paying for postage. So when I found literotica, it was the greatest thing ever. But I loved them. I read just piles and piles of these short stories, which is where I started out with, like I said, the erotica, and how we ended up with me writing some erotica.
I don't care. I love it. I don't care.
I think they call it mommy porn because women don't have to have the visual aspect of porn to get off. In fact, a lot of times the men are not that attractive in porn. A lot of times. They're not. Comparatively to the women. The women are, usually super smoking hot in production porn. And the men, they're more concerned about whether or not they've got a good set of equipment, good dick. That's what they're concerned with. And whether or not they can fuck. So, whether or not they're, super handsome isn't as big of a deal. But in your head, when you're imagining the scenes and everything, they can have a great dick and be super handsome. And, you can be the main character and you can look like whatever it is in your head you want to look like. So I think that's why women gravitate towards erotica. If you're a man and you are into erotica, then hit me up and let me know how you think or what you think. I think the biggest thing with porn that's changed since I graduated high school in 2000 and was in college in the early 2000s is the idea of OnlyFans and anybody being able to become a porn star. It really is a fascinating yet shocking thing when you come from a upbringing where the idea that somebody's going to put their butthole on the internet for everybody to see is, it's going to send you to hell. But also because, why do people pay for OnlyFans when there's so much free porn on the internet? And, I think that's a question that a lot of people have. So I went to Reddit, and I have some answers. And some of them will surprise you. At least they surprised me. The biggest one that I thought was interesting was, it's worth more for me to know I'm going to get the video I want than it costs me just to pay for it. I guess if you really know what you want and you have a specific kink, for example, have you ever tried finding a seal farting on a 300-pound Latina's hair while she's educating the world about short-selling, high-leverage penny funds for free? Okay, that's an exaggeration, but somebody put that down, and I think that's funny as shit because it's true. I've done it myself, where I've scrolled and scrolled and scrolled through pages of porn looking for something that I wanted to watch and haven't been able to find anything. So maybe it's worth it on that level. I don't know. I don't know. So the next one is there's less of a chance of your computer getting a virus. Now, I don't know who's watching porn on their computer instead of on their iPhone, but you're an idiot. Just throwing that out there. The next idea was pretty forward thinking, I guess I could say. There are many abuses which take place in the porn industry. Paying for porn is one of the best ways to ensure you're getting ethical porn. Ethical porn, like I think that means like free range porn, you know? Like nobody's keeping the porn stars in cages. Okay, yeah, that was a terrible joke. Awful. Or it means, you know, like nobody's abusing the porn stars. They're getting paid a fair wage. And I mean, I think it's great because on OnlyFans, people end up being able to control their what they're producing better. And I mean, I think it's a good thing. So the last one, I guess, maybe is the controversial one. And you guys are going to have to tell me whether this is true or not. But they said a good portion of the guys who pay for OnlyFans are lonely. They don't get to interact with other women, or don't get to interact with women at all, or not on a regular basis, and definitely not in a sexual sense. So OnlyFans or Fansly or whichever one you use allows men to talk to a woman personally. It's sort of like an online girlfriend, you know, in a very brief, abbreviated kind of way. And then those women interact with them. They make custom pictures and videos for them. And for the most part, you know, you talk to those guys like they are important and listen to them. And that's how they get to interact with women. So I don't know. I hope that that's not true for a lot of people, but I think that it probably is true for more than we would like to think. What I really need is somebody who is an OnlyFans or Fansly's or Chatterbait or whichever one it is to come on the podcast and explain to me how the whole thing works. First of all, I can't even figure out how you find people on OnlyFans. So if somebody can break the code for that one for me, that'd be great. And then secondly, how do they come up with ideas of what to do all the time? Which brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about today, which is back last fall when I was trying to decide what it was I was going to do with my life since I wasn't going back to work full time. I started a Fansly. I didn't put anything on there. I haven't, nothing. I just started it. I was thinking about possibly, you know, selling my panties or something because, well, if I could sell my panties, then I wouldn't have to wash them, and that would be less laundry. And I'd always have clean, sexy underwear to wear that were new. So, I started a Fansly. I just don't know what it is you're supposed to put on it. For example, people want to watch you do something. How do you come up with, like, different things to do all the time? I mean, there's only so many ways a person can masturbate, right? You definitely have to be constantly buying like new toys, or are you constantly buying new outfits? How are you coming up with new content ideas? I know a lot of people do collaborations, but living in a rural area, I haven't found anybody on X who is anywhere near me who would want to do a collaboration or something like that just for entertainment's sake and to have another story to tell. So, if I can find somebody who wants to come on the show to explain to me how this all works and give me some advice, I would love it. Personally, I'd just like to hear your story and how you got started too, because I just find it fascinating. Especially because most of these people, like I said, are not from rural America. So, with that being said, I guess this kind of brings us to the end of today's episode. So let's end today's episode with another What Would Batman Do? Because remember, when you get nervous about something that you want to try and you're afraid of what everybody else would think, put on your Batman mask, because always be yourself unless you can be Batman, and then be Batman. And the anonymity will let you do whatever you want to. So this is mine, Batman. I think Batman would tell me to like suck it the fuck up and continue to try writing these stories. and then maybe start figuring out something I can put on my on my Fansly. If you guys have ideas, let me know. But thanks for listening tonight, and I will talk to y'all later.
So that's all for us today. I want to remind everybody to subscribe and check out my social media for more inappropriate shenanigans. I have X, Reddit, and Instagram, as well as FetLife, Facebook, and a website. That link and those to my social media will be in the podcast description. You'd be my hero for real if you'd check out my social media pages, put a review on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen, or share my podcast with your other inappropriate friends. So, if you had a good time with me today, and I'm always a good time, please subscribe so you don't miss out on a single riveting story, shocking confession, or just something dirty and funny. I love hearing your feedback, so feel free to message me on any of my social media. Thanks, and remember, if you can be Batman, always be Batman.